Shalom, everybody. Hope everyone is having a fantastic day today. Today I really don't have anything pretty much overall that I want to say. First of all, let me check and make sure that I have some good volume going on, because that's important in order to do these broadcasts. So let me check that real fast, and before I progress on, let's see here. Okay, it's not showing up right now. So I don't know if anybody out there can hear me or not. Yeah, okay. There we go. I see that I have some audio going on. So let me sign on Facebook on my phone now. And let's go through some fun facts. Hopefully everybody can take some edifying out of this information. Uh, I know a lot of y'all might not agree with a lot of the information, but I'm gonna bring it out anyway. I mean, why purchase, some of this stuff and not use it? So my goal is to go through some of the information, just read what I have, and I'll just let you decide. So let's see here. Click on that and lower my volume, and let me get ready to begin. And like I said, I'm going to be touching on a few different subjects. So first thing first, for those talking about polygyny, okay. First thing first, I want to go in Josephus. I'm just going to touch on something real fast, and hopefully this help um, with some of the confusion that we have. So I want to go to Antiquities of the Jews by Josephus. This would be book 17, chapter 1, section 2, around around the end of the 14th a verse or paragraph, what you want to call it. Like I said, this is just to get the information out there for the people who have some who don't know the full story, so they don't know the background. So like I said, today just going to be designated in order to get some of that background. So first thing first, Aristobulus' other daughter to Herod, a son of his own, who was born to him by the high priest's daughter. For it is the ancient practice among us to have many wives at the same time. Okay, so I don't know if y'all can see this or not. Hopefully y'all can. But this is Josephus, right? Let me try to get it in there tight. You see that right there? I got it sort of, I don't know if y'all can see the highlight, but it's right here. It says Aristobulus' other daughter to Herod, a son of his own, who was born to him by the high priest's daughter. For it is the ancient practice among us to have many wives at the same time. Not many not many wives having many husbands, but many husbands having many wives. It's called polygyny. It's not polygamy or polyandry or whatever else you want to call it. This is polygyny. And this wasn't saying that the person had to be rich or to make this ridiculous amount of money or had to go through all of these trials. It was an ancient practice amongst the Israelites to have many wives. So hopefully that is we're done with it. We don't have to discuss it no more. This is Josephus saying this, and Josephus was around what 70 30 AD to what 100 AD or 95 AD. I don't remember per se his lifespan, but he wrote this after the destruction of the temple. So even after the destruction of the temple, it was a ancient custom and a custom to Israel to have more than one wife. Polygyny stopped when Rome outlawed it, Rome banned it, and we are an offspring of Rome. So Roman rulership, the government under Rome stopped polygyny within the Israelite culture. Okay. So a lot of people might not like it today, or it sounds foreign today, but just for those people who call themselves Israelite, I know y'all see my Israel beard going on. But those people, our ancestors, polygyny, it was okay. Okay. It was practice. So we don't have to go through that no more. Okay. Do what's on your heart. Do what you feel that you need to do. One way or the other, it was practiced by Israel. Okay. So that's one thing, hopefully, we got out the way. And we're just hitting fun facts today. Nothing really to demonstrate, sorry, it's plenty to demonstrate, but nothing really to go into a lot of details about specific subjects. I just want to hit all of the et cetera subjects that never get touched on. So I want to talk about the high priest now. And I want to go to the Antiquities of the Jews, book 20, chapter 10. And I don't want to destroy all of these words, butcher them, but I'm gonna attempt to. I want to start at section 1. He says, Josephus says, and now I think it proper and agreeable to this history to give an account of our high priest, how they began, whose those are which are capable of that dignity, and how many of them there had been at the end of the war. So Josephus goes through all of the high priests, all the way up to a certain point, which I think is Flores, but he goes through all of the high priests, which lets you know that they, the Jews, this was information that they understood. They understood the priesthood. They understood in their covenant, under the Mosaic covenant, how many high priests there was. Therefore, you got to know information like this in order to understand the mind frame of the Hebrew or the Israelites who was receiving the revelation from John the Revelator. You see, they knew these details that we don't know. They knew this information. So we are reading, when we read Revelation, we're reading an account and we're trying to make heads and tails from it, which we do a fairly good, decent job. But these people would not have to they wouldn't have to struggle so much because this was their understanding. This was their culture. They knew this stuff. So now, I don't want to read all of these high priest stuff, so I'm not. I'm just trying to get to a specific number. Let's see here. I want to get to how many high priests it was in all. All right, let's see here. Let me find it real fast. Once again, we're just hitting on just hitting the hot spots. The 13 and the descendants number 13. The father. Yeah. All right, I might as not just keep trying to skip around. I'm gonna skip around, but I guess I'm gonna try to hit some of these points. In the first place, I'm still in section 1. In the first place thereof, history informs us. So this was their history also, and we call it Bible. Josephus referred to it as history to let you understand it. They was veering the Tanakh, the Torah, the Tanakh, all of the things, the Maccabees and history. We look at it as a Bible Hey, how you doing, Miss Helen? Thank you. But we look at more of this, the more of the word as a religious book, but the Israelites looked at this as a culture. This was their culture, so it touched more home to them because these were living people that they descended from and they knew. So and these were their heroes. These were their Supermans and Captain Americas. These high priests were. So it says, in the first place, therefore, history informs us that Aaron, the brother of Moses, officiated to God as a high priest, and that after his death, his son succeeded him immediately, and that this dignity has been continued down from them all to their posterity. Whence it is a custom for our country, the Israelites, that no one should take the high priesthood of God, but he who is of the blood of Aaron, while everyone that is of another stock, though he were a king, could never obtain that high priesthood. That's why the Messiah was so important, because you just read how they viewed the priesthood. They viewed that under that covenant, the only person that could be considered a high priest was someone from the stock of Aaron. And it was unheard of for anyone from a different stock to get that priesthood. That's why when the Messiah came in, he came in after the order of Melchizedek, because he could never had been a Levitical priest. So when Messiah came in after the order of Melchizedek, he came in ushering in a new type of law, which was the new covenant, under the new covenant, not under the Mosaic covenant, because he could not be that priest under the Mosaic covenant. So let's keep reading. According to the number of all the high priests from Aaron, of whom we have spoken already, as the first of them, unto Phanes, who was made high priest during the war by the seditious, was 83. So between Aaron to the destruction of Jerusalem, it was 83 high priests. I don't know if y'all knew that or not, but now you know. So it was only 83 high priests throughout that whole time before the new covenant came in. So let's see, of whom 13 officiated as high priests in the wilderness, from the days of Moses, while the tabernacle was standing, until the people came into Judea, when King Solomon erected the temple to God. For as first they held the high priesthood to the to the end of their life, although afterward, after they had successors, while they were alive. Now these 13, who were the descendants of two of the sons of Aaron, received the dignity by succession, one after another, for their form of government was what's that, aristocracy, and after that a monarchy, and in the third place the government. So now Israel always had a specific government to be governed by. So these was the three type of governments. I said aristocracy, however you say it, monarchy, and regal. Those are the three different types of government that Israel was governed by. Now the number of years during the rule of these 13, from the day when our fathers departed out of Egypt under Moses, their leader, until the building of that temple which King Solomon erected at Jerusalem, were 612. So as you could tell, how the time moved forward. But I don't. It's not really anything else to go into. Now y'all know that it was 83 high priests in all before the destruction of Jerusalem. So let's see here now if I can find anything else. Let's see here. Where else can I pull? Now we already know that Antiochus Epiphanes stopped the daily sacrifice order first, which was what Daniel, I think, 8 is about, and then Daniel 9 is about the Romans. But let's see if I can get a nice quote about that, and then I'm gonna move on to other issues. Let's see if I can get a nice quote, because Josephus pretty much touched on a lot of stuff, because he wasn't a Christian. He was a Torah following priest who understood that it was prophesied that the Roman army was going to destroy Jerusalem. So he said that the Most High put it upon his heart to go side with the Romans, because to fight against the Romans was going to be fighting against God and what God said. So he said there was no need for him to fight against the Father. So he went and joined with the Romans. And don't think the Romans just took him in with open arms. No, no, no. But eventually they let him in, and he helped aid some of Rome taking the rest of Jerusalem, because that was the prophecy anyway. Now, once you read Josephus also, you realize that it was a lot of prophecies that we do not have inside of our Bible that they knew also. But I got a lot of notes, so I'm not going to go through that right now. I'm going to actually make a little study guide eventually over Josephus. But I want to go to the book of Josephus, Antiquities of the Jews, book 10, chapter 11, section 7. And now let me pull it up real fast so we all can see. I don't know if y'all can see it or not. Let me try to take it over right here. All right, y'all see all those words right there. I want to see if I can actually read it off. Let me all right, here we go. It says I'm gonna start at 274 up there about where my finger is. It says, let me get a little closer, that by the great horn, this is about the Greeks. This is, remember those the he goat and the ram that he saw fighting in Daniel, where Josephus gets into a little of the detail. So let's go here. That the he goat signified that one should come and reign from the Greeks, who should twice fight with the Persian and overcome him in battle, and should receive his entire dominion. You see how they understood prophecy a little bit more than we do. They actually get to it. Look, who should twice fight with the Persian and overcome him in battle, and should receive his entire dominion. That by the great horn which sprang out of the forehead of the he goat was meant the first king, and that the springing up of four horns upon its falling off, and the conversion of every one of them to the four quarters of the earth signified the successors that should arise after the death of the first king, and the partition of the kingdom among them, and that they should be neither his children nor his kindred that should reign over the habitable earth for many years. So once again, they was one to reign over the habitable earth. Y'all see that H word? My finger was so very close to it. It's over there. It's habitable earth. That's the earth when Christ said that the gospel had to go to the world, the habitable earth, the earth that they, or the world that they knew about, which was all of those sections that belonged to the Persians. Well, first the Babylonians, and then the Persians, then the Grecians, then the Romans. Those little segments over there, well, not little, because they're gigantic, a lot of land mass countries and all that stuff. But that area over there in the east, that was the habitable earth. They wasn't worried about North America. Okay, so the Grecians did not reign over North America back then. So this habitable earth is the land that they reign over. Once again, these are fun facts that y'all all should know in order to understand the Bible and what you're reading. So the habitable earth for many years, and that from among them there should arise a certain king that should overcome our nation, which was a nation of the Jews, and their laws, and should take away our political government. So look what Antiochus did. Antiochus Epiphanes did. He took away the political government and should spoil the temple and forbid the sacrifice to be offered for 3 years times. And I got the first Maccabees 1:41 through 47 right there if you want to check it out in first Maccabees. And indeed, it so came to pass that our nation suffered these things under Antiochus Epiphanes according to Daniel's vision. Okay, so he just linked what Antiochus Epiphanes did to Daniel's vision. So what everybody should do is to try to go into Daniel's vision and find out when it was saying that the temple was going to be spoiled and all of that. I think that's Daniel 8. So now let's keep reading. And what he wrote many years before they came to pass. In the very same manner, Daniel also wrote concerning the Roman government, that our country should be made desolate by them. That's Daniel 9. Daniel 9 is talking about when Jerusalem was going to be made desolate by that last, well, we'll go to it just a second. I got Daniel 9 and 27 right there. All these things did this man leave in writing, as God had showed them to him, insomuch that such as read his prophecies and see how they have been fulfilled will wonder at the honor wherewith God honored Daniel. So now they knew, the Israelites in the first century knew that Daniel 70 weeks had been fulfilled. Now, they really didn't, they knew, because you can go into the New Testament, you see they was like, hey, this guy's doing all these miracles. He's doing all these miracles over here. We need to stop him before he gets all the people behind him and Rome take out power from him, from us. I mean, so they knew the Messiah was there. I mean, that's what the whole the Magi's came and told them that the Messiah was born, and Herod tried to find that Messiah. So they knew the Messiah was there, and then they was able to ask John the Baptist, even though John the Baptist was a Levi, would let you know that we might have a little bit off about Christ having to 100% come from Judah, and we can also find it in the 12 patriarchs also, where it was a two prophecy that the Messiah could have rose from Levi or Judah, but that's something that we can go into later on. But anyway, and I might try to show that in just a second, but and see how they have been fulfilled. The point is that they knew that Daniel's 70 weeks had been fulfilled. And notice, what did they do when they knew Daniel's 70 weeks had been fulfilled? Nobody said, where is that literal kingdom that's supposed to come down and we're supposed to rule and all that stuff? See, they knew that Daniel's 70 weeks, when it was consummated or when it was over with, the ages would have been consummated. And when the ages was consummated, that was the end of everything. That was the kingdom coming down to earth, and the people of the kingdom getting the everlasting kingdom and all that stuff. So all of that happens when Daniel's 70 week was consummated. So according to Josephus, they understood that that prophecy was fulfilled when Rome destroyed Jerusalem. So if that prophecy, if Daniel's 70 weeks was fulfilled when Rome destroyed Jerusalem, then there's a lot of prophecies, and there is a lot of prophecies that links with Daniel's 70 weeks. Why wouldn't those prophecies that link with Daniel's 70 weeks be fulfilled also? I mean, you got to ask yourself that. How can one prophecy be fulfilled, but the prophecies that link with it can't be fulfilled? See, this is when you fight against the information because you don't like the outcome or what that information means. Because if Daniel's 70 weeks were fulfilled, then that means the time had to be consummated. And if the times had to be consummated, that means that the judgment had to occur. And if the judgment had to occur, that means revelation had to have been completed. And if revelation had been completed, that means the new heavens and the new earth had to come to earth, down to earth. So, and if the new heavens and the new earth came down to earth, that means that the tree of life has already been given access. That means Christ has already been the king for about 2,000 years. And that means the Bible has been completed for about 2,000 years. So there's a lot of things that trickle down with that one prophecy being fulfilled. But a lot of people don't want to believe it because they have it in their mind that it's supposed to look a certain way or it's supposed to go an entire different way than it did. So they're just information I want to throw out there. Let's see if I have anything else. I know that the Septuagint, the creation of the Septuagint is in here too. And the Septuagint predates the Masoretic text. The Septuagint predates the text they use to translate the Bible. So let's see here, y'all. Once again, just fun facts today. Let's see if I can. Okay, here we go right here. Everybody, a Septuagint. Septuagint with Apocrypha. So what the Septuagint is, when Greek took over, right? Now, this ain't the original translated from the Septuagint. Septuagint went through its translations also. But this will be closer than the Masoretic text. The text that they use to create your King James Version Bible, this will be a little bit more accurate, dealing with the Old Testament as well as the Apocrypha. So now the Septuagint, how it started was, who was it? Takes it, please my mind. I guess I gotta. I think it was one of the Ptolemies. Let's see if I can find it real fast. Let's see if I can find it real fast on how the Septuagint came to be. Let's see here. Hello, y'all. I think my kid. What are y'all doing? She said y'all can play? Well, I need y'all to quiet down a little bit. Sorry, y'all. So now, let's see here. Let's see if we can do a quick Google search. I'm just seeing if I can do a quick Google search real fast. Let's see here. And I'm going to Google Josephus and the Septuagint. Josephus and the Septuagint. And let's see if it takes me directly to it. Let's see if I can say Antiquities of the Jews and the Septuagint. And if it's not there, we'll have to go through it later. It's in the Antiquities of the Jews, though. Antiquities of the Jews and the Septuagint. Let's see. No. Sorry, y'all. I know it's not in the preface, is it? I don't think it is. No, it's not. It's in the Antiquities of the Jews. I just don't want to bore y'all trying to find it. But anyway, just to get it under, just say what it is. The leader of whoever the Grecian leader was at the time. I don't think it was Alexander the Great. I don't think so. But anyway, he wanted the Jews. He had a vast library, and he wanted all of the information that he could get. So he commissioned that 72 of the people skilled within the Torah to learn the Greek language and to translate the Hebrew Torah into the Greek language, and they call it the Septuagint because the Septuagint are it means 70, whatever it is, septile, whatever that Greek word is, it means 70, and it was 72 elder Jews that translated it. So to get the closer meaning of Torah, you will have to go through the Septuagint in order to see what you know what the ancient Hebrews would have used for their understanding compared to the Masoretic text. That's why once you go through the New Testament, you see some of them quotes and you be like, oh, that's not in the Masoretic text, or it says a different way in the Masoretic text, or sorry, that's not in the Old Testament. It says it a different way in the Old Testament. Now they're quoting from the Greek New Testament would be quoting from the Greek Old Testament, not the Masoretic Old Testament. So you're reading Greek and Hebrew instead of Greek and Greek. So if I were you guys, I would just get a Septuagint and just see what it says also. And plus the Septuagint will be a little bit more accurate than the KJV Masoretic. So let's see if I can keep going. Sorry, y'all getting loud again. So, and then I have my young apocrypha, but I'm pretty sure y'all all know what that is. So we're hitting more fun facts, right? Sorry, y'all. Give me 1 second. Let's get this under control. Why is the door open? Well, why is the door open? Close it. Sorry, y'all. Every time they open the door, they scream louder and louder. Y'all know how children are. But now, I have also an Hebrew translation of Matthew's gospel, because a lot of people don't like Greek for some reason. For some reason, when they see Greek or New Testament, they automatically assume that it's false because the Grecians created it or the Grecians came up with this story. It's not a Hebrewic story, it's a Grecian story. Well, that doesn't make sense to put all your salvation on a language, first of all. Second of all, in Daniel's second chapter and seventh chapter, you knew that there was going to be a third and fourth beast, which was the Grecians and the Romans. Did you not think that while Israel was in the Grecian Empire or the Roman Empire, or when the Grecians was ruling or the Romans was ruling, that the Israelites would not have learned their language? That's just like saying that we came over on slave ships from Africa speaking an African dialect, and now today us blacks speak English the same way. Why do we speak English? Because English speaking people conquered us and brought us over here and taught us English. So the same exact way, same exact way. But anyway, I have a Hebrew. This was supposed to be one of the Hebrew scriptures scrolls that they found dealing with Matthew, and they translated it directly to English. So I just want to see if this is supposed to read any differently. So Let's see if we can find Matthew 16, 27 and 28. I just want to know if it reads any different from the Masoretic. Let's see, Matthew 16, 27 and 28. And it says, "For the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he shall pay every man each according to his deeds. Verily I say unto you, there be those standing here which shall not taste death till they see the Son of Man, till they see the Son of Man's kingdom that cometh." So it reads a little different, but listen to what it says. Christ told his disciples, according to this Matthew's translation, the Hebrew translation, that some of them will still be alive and not die till they see the Son of Man's kingdom that cometh. How are they going to see the kingdom that comes? Where was it coming? It was coming to earth. So some of them were still supposed to be alive when the kingdom of the Son of Man's kingdom, or Christ's kingdom, come to earth. And once again, everybody, this could not have happened until Daniel's 70 weeks were completed. They go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. So you can't have the kingdom coming without the temple being destroyed. It works hand in hand. You can't have the consummation of the ages while there's still a room for the Mosaic covenant. Let's see what else we got here. This information. Why not just go through one of the commentaries? Let's see. I got some commentary. Let's see what some of the commentators say. A commentary for Luke. I got two commentaries for Luke. So a commentary for Luke. I got this guy right here. It is the Interpreter's Bible, Luke and John. So let's just scroll to Luke 21, which also is about 70 weeks of Daniel. So let's go to Luke 21. And let's see if this commentary guy brings any light on the situation. Oh, and that's nice. Look how he got how Jerusalem looked. Sorry, y'all. Let's see if I can keep coming over. Y'all see that? That's nice, ain't it? So Jerusalem in the New Testament times. Okay. But back to what I was saying. Luke 21. And let's just start reading. I want to read what the Bible says first, and then I'm going to read some of the commentary. Okay, Luke 21, and I want to start with 20. "And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh." So now, the desolation of Jerusalem was supposed to be close, right? In Daniel, we find out that instead of just going back and forth and me saying it, I'm just going to see if we can get some parallel text with Daniel 9. And just for the viewing audience, why not use the Septuagint? I wanted to use the Masoretic, but let's just see what the Septuagint says. And once again, I'm not too familiar with this version. I'm like you all. I'm stuck in my ways with some things, and I like the KJV because that's what I was raised in, and I don't know, but this will be a little bit more accurate text. So I'm going to use this. Daniel 9 and let's see here. Let's see if I can find it. So many things to go through real fast. Daniel 9. I know y'all don't like the dead space or the dead air, but hey, work with me. 24. Let's see what it is in the Septuagint. Daniel 9 and sorry, y'all. Let me try to find it in the Septuagint. It's a little different. I'm almost there, y'all. Okay, here we go. Daniel 9 and 24 through 27 from the Septuagint. 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon the holy city, for sin to be ended, to seal up transgressions, and to blot out the iniquities, and to make atonement for iniquities, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and the prophet, and to anoint the most holy. And thou shalt know and understand that from the going forth of the command for the answer, and for the building of Jerusalem, until Christ the Prince, there shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. And then the time shall return, and the street shall be built, and the wall, and the time shall be exalted. And after the 62 weeks, the anointed one shall be destroyed, and there is no judgment in him. And he shall destroy the city and the sanctuary with the prince that is coming. They should cut off with a flood, and to the end of the war, which is rapidly completed, he shall appoint the city to desolations. In 1 week shall establish the covenant with many, and in the midst of the week my sacrifice and drink offerings shall be taken away, and on the temple shall be the abomination of desolations. And at the end of the time, an end shall be put to the desolation. So now we have, he shall appoint the city to desolations, right? We have that stated in the Septuagint. He shall appoint the city to desolations. So once you go back to Luke 21, once again, I'm reading from the Masoretic Greek to the Septuagint Greek. So it says, and when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. So we have the desolation of Jerusalem happening when the Roman army encompasses Jerusalem, right? And we have the same thing over here. Desolations will be appointed upon the city. All of this, once again, is Daniel 70 weeks coming together. They don't work apart or separate. It's coming together. Luke 21 works hand in hand with Daniel 70 weeks. Okay, so now, then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains. So now, let's see if we can get a little information from that. Let's see if I can find something real fast. Sorry, y'all. I'm pretty sure it's around here somewhere. All right. From Babylon to Timbuktu. Now, I don't know exactly. Let's see if I can find it. From Babylon to Timbuktu. This is the story about how the Israelites made it into Africa, and then finally made it into America. Let's see here. I'm gonna see if I can find it real fast. I want the exact quote. Moses, no, Ramsey II, Cush, Ethiopia. Sorry, y'all. Let me try to get it real fast. The North African Black Jews. Here we go right here. From Babylon to Timbuktu, page 84. And let's get you a tighter reading so people can see. Hopefully we can all see this. I'm trying to hold it up. Where we at right here? Page 84. So let's go back this way. And I'm going to have to hold it up with this hand. And I just want y'all to see what I'm finna read from. Oh, Lord. I get it. There we go. Hopefully y'all see the second paragraph. I'll just do it like this. Yeah, I'm having more trouble than a little bit, ain't it? All right. I think we got it now. Yeah. All right, here we go. In the year 65 BC, the Roman army under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state, with great slaughter. During the period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. During the period from Pompey to Julius, so that was a while. So I've been seeing this misquoted because this was from Pompey to Julius. That's 65 BC through 70 AD. So it's not saying that a million Jews fled in 70 AD. It's saying from 65 AD through 70 AD, it had been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery. The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves, and then for some reason, then he quotes Deuteronomy 28:64, which is a great quote. And he quotes Deuteronomy 28:15 through 68, which is great quotes. And I don't think he put it with the transatlantic slave trade. I think that's something that we do. It don't seem like he said that was the transatlantic slave trade. He just said in the slave market, which would be true because they had to go back into the Egyptians' mines. And then later on, as those black Israelites stayed inside of Africa, then the transatlantic slave trade happened, and then they was able to take Israelites on the slave ships. So this was a long time has passed before then. But anyway, so that's a correction right there. I just corrected that because we've been misusing that also, because that's not what the author said either. But anyway, so during that persecution of those black Jews fleeing, and some of them at that point ended up in Africa, this is the same result of Daniel's 70 weeks, which is the same result of Christ. This is Christ giving the prophecy in Luke 21. So this is all going together. us fleeing into Africa, Daniel 70 weeks, Jerusalem being destroyed. All of this is around the same time, dealing with the same prophecy. So let's keep reading. So then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains. We read who the scholar said they were. And let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things, not some, but all things which are written where? In the Torah and the Tanakh, because there was no New Testament, may be fulfilled. So now, let's go through some of this commentary, okay? Let's go through some of this commentary, and we can see if maybe, let's see where they put some of this stuff at. Because these are commentaries. Once again, these are just people's opinion. So let's just read what some of the scholars came through with their opinion. I don't know if we can read it or not, so I'm just going to put it up here real fast. This is a video, so you can pause it and read it yourself. So now, I'm just going to read what this guy said on page 367. Marking material disassociated from the immediate signs of the end and revised and expanded in light the siege of Jerusalem in AD 70. Mark's version reads, but when you see the desolating sacrilege set up where it ought not to be, then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Mark 13 and 14. The desolating sacrilege in the book of Daniel 9:27 from the Septuagint. So once again, I'm going to read 9:27 again because he quoted the Septuagint. Once again, they like using the Septuagint because they understand this is like the real understanding. Not the Masoretic, but not saying the Masoretic can't get you there, but this is like some of the understanding that people in the first century would have had. So now, 9:27. In 1 week shall establish the covenant with many, and in the midst of the week my sacrifices and drink offerings shall be taken away, and on the temple shall be the abomination of desolations. And at the end of the time, an end shall be put to the desolation. So now, let's see here. The desolations in Nana was the altar to Zeus that the Syrian king Antiochus Epiphanes had erected in the temple at Jerusalem in 168 BC. In Mark, it is a cryptic description of some Antichrist whose appearance is to be the prelude of the coming of the Son of Man. 2 Thessalonians 2, 3, and 4. For this enigmatic term, Luke substitutes Jerusalem surrounded by armies. No marking base. The verses may betray a familiarity on Luke's part with the events in Jerusalem just before the siege. According to Eusebius, Church History 3, 5, and 3, the Christian community in the city withdrew at that time to Pella in Perea in response to a warning given by their leaders, given to their leaders by revelation. All is written, Hosea 9-7, Jeremiah 5:29, 46 and 10. Pregnant women and nursing mothers will be least able to flee in the land Palestine, this people Israel. So what he did was he made this be about Antiochus Epiphanes. That's why I read from Josephus. See, Josephus, this guy, once again, is the commentary. Josephus was an actual priest from Israel. So I like his version more because I think he was more of the Jewish mindset than this commentary guy. So the commentaries are just opinions. Some of them is fantastic. Sometimes you got to stick with your other sources. And Josephus specifically said, this was about Rome. This prophecy in Daniel 9 was about Rome. It wasn't about Antiochus Epiphanes. But anyway, let's see if we can keep reading. Let's see here. I'm just going to read a little bit more of it. The days of vengeance. Did Jesus actually utter this prophecy so accurate and detailed of the fall of Jerusalem, or was it shaped by the event itself? Must we think of it as Luke's rehandling of the marking material in the light of what had in fact already taken place? So I guess the marking is actually supposed to be marked. Uh, or is it a form what the original words of Jesus had assumed and another source, of which our evangelists made use? It is impossible to arrive at the very words of our Lord. What one sees here and what Jesus saw is God in human history. Catastrophe is not just the result of tensions that keep piling up towards the breaking point. History is a religious drama, not just a genetic process. Viewed from below, Jerusalem with her turbulent mobs was a thorn in the flesh of the Roman power. Viewed from above, the time was drawing near when she would have to pay the forfeit of her disobedience and waywardness, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. Through the whole Old Testament, that bell keeps tolling, and through the New Testament. And then verse 24, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So now let's just see what the commentary says about that. Let's see here. It says, editorial elaboration of the fate of Jerusalem. According to Josephus, see, they use Josephus too. I don't know why they wouldn't read the other things I read. But anyway, according to Josephus, whose numerical estimates are not always trustworthy. Oh, they don't like Josephus' numbers. 1,100,000 Jews were slain by the Romans during the siege, and 97,000 were taken prisoner throughout the course of the war. Jewish War, book what's that? 6, chapter 9, section 3. Well, lucky for me, I happen to have a Josephus right here. And once again, y'all, this might be boring to some it might not be boring. I don't know, but I'm just going through a little tidbit of information so we actually have a better grasp of the historical backing as well as some of the other elements of the Bible. So now, Jewish wars, said book 6, chapter 9, section 3. Alrighty, y'all. And as y'all can tell, I already got it underlined for my notes. Let's see here. That's it right there. I'm trying to get it straight. I already got it underlined for my notes. So let's just read what it says. Now, the number of those that were carried captive during the whole war was collected to be 97,000, and was the number of those perished during the whole siege 1,100,000, the greater part of whom were indeed of the same nation with the citizens of Jerusalem, but not belonging to the city itself, for they were come up from all the country to the feast of unleavened bread, and were on a sudden shut up by an army. So once again, this shows you, I like history right here. And let me cut this light on real fast so we can get a little light. All right, now, I love history. So let's read this again. Because not all of these people were citizens, not all of these Jews were citizens of Jerusalem. So let's read it again. But not belonging to the city itself, for they were come up from all the country to the feast of unleavened bread. So now, the gathering that people are wanting to see, these people were gathering for the feast. Okay? These people were all gathering for the feast. Some of them was able to flee. Some of them stayed. But the point is, the Most High chose a feast day in order for Jerusalem to be destroyed. This shows you that he wasn't worried no more about the Mosaic covenant. He wasn't worried no more about the shadow, because the true image had arrived, left, and was ready to come back for that final destruction to bring that heaven, that kingdom of heaven on earth. So the true image had arrived. The Most High wasn't worried about the shadows no more. Israelites kept worrying about the shadows. Therefore, he used the shadow, which was the Feast of Unleavened Bread, to get all of the Israelites in one place and to allow the Roman army, under Christ's prophecy, under Christ's judgment, to destroy Israel. Once again, the Most High, if he was all about the Mosaic covenant, he would have protected them from being destroyed during his feast. He wasn't worried about the Mosaic covenant no more. It was all about the new covenant. And the proof was he destroyed Israel. In other words, Israel was destroyed. They was taken captive. Of all of the records, the genealogy records were burned. The temple was burned. The city trodden down. All of them things happened during the feast, around the time of a feast, because that covenant was no longer valid. So, well, let's keep reading. And were on a sudden shut up by an army, which at the very first occasion, so great as straitness among them that there came a pestilential destruction upon them, and soon afterward such a famine as destroyed them more suddenly. So now, where do we get that from? During the time when Rome came to destroy Jerusalem, there was a pestilence, a pestilential destruction and a famine. So if I record in to Matthew 24, when they ask Christ signs for the end, because people want you to think it's the end of the world. No, no, no. It was the end of the age. The Mosaic, the Masoretic text said age, and the translators, the English translators, put world there because they thought the people would understand this. This will be the world of Israel, but people today make it be the whole entire globe. So no, this was the time period or the end of the age. So signs of the end of the age. One of the things he told them was in Matthew 24:7. For nation shall rise against nation. Wasn't that happened during the destruction of the temple? Of course it was. And kingdom against kingdom. Now, wasn't there two specific kingdoms in Daniel 2? King Nebuchadnezzar's vision. He saw two different kingdoms. He saw what's that? Clay and iron mingled in together at the foot, and then the rock came and destroyed the whole statue. So we have two different kingdoms right there. Matthew 24, came against kingdom. There should be famines and pestilences. And if we read later on in Josephus, we realize that it actually was an earthquake there also. So all of the things that Christ, let's listen to the questions that they said. And the disciples sat up on the mount, and as he sat up on the Mount of Olives, let's just read the whole Matthew 24, 1 through 3. And Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said unto them, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. So now, a stone shall not be thrown down. And they were looking at the temple, and he just told them, a time is coming when there will be not one stone left upon this temple. Where did he pull that from? I mean, or what was he talking about? Well, once you go back to Daniel 9, it says it right, Daniel 9 and 26. And after the 62 weeks, the anointed one shall be destroyed, and there is no judgment in him. And he shall destroy the city and the sanctuary with the prince that is coming. So we have the sanctuary, the temple, was prophesied to be destroyed at the time of the end in Daniel 9. We have Christ right here giving a prophecy about the temple being destroyed once again. So now let's see what goes on. In verse 3, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? Bless me. And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? Well, that's supposed to be the end of the age, or the end of the Jewish world, which was the end of the age. And said unto them, Take heed that no man shall deceive you.
You lost your battery.
Oh, I'm sorry. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumor of wars. We believe that was happening before Rome actually came and seized them. And it's not yet. Why was the end